Three-time South African welterweight champion Tulan Evolution Mbengue will confront Leandro Ariel Fonseca from Argentina in the international bout. The Mzansi Africa versus Argentina battle will continue in the main bout, the World Boxing Council WBC Silver Cruiserweight title fight between Tabiso the Rock Nkunu and Yamil Alberto Peralta Jara. This is the Mvelo Boxing Promotions Tournament. Catch the action on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4, live this Friday 22 March at 7 p.m. Then on SABC 2 at 10:30 p.m. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
The very right to be human is denied every day to hundreds of millions of people as a result of poverty and the unavailability of basic necessities such as food, jobs, water and shelter, education, health care, and a healthy environment. As I sit in Nkunu, my village, and grow as ancient as its hills, I will continue to entertain the hope that there has emerged a cadre of leaders in my own country and region, on my continent and in the world, which will not allow that any should be denied their freedom, as we were, that any should be turned into refugees, as we were, that any should be condemned to go hungry, as we were, that any should be stripped of their human dignity, as we were.
Yeah.
It is the incomparable vocal talents of Thandiswa Mazwai coming through with Abenguni, and this is the live edit of that particular song. We thought, we jazzed things up a little bit on this Human Rights Day, as a lot of you today observing the public holiday, 21st of March, and ultimately probably are, in your respective homes enjoying a long weekend. But let us not forget also the reason why we have the 21st of March as a public holiday, and some of the calls have called for it to be named Sharpeville Day in honor and commemoration of the 69 lives that were laid down on this day in protest of past laws. Now, this is not a day that we just observe in isolation as South Africans. It is a day, the events of that day had reverberations throughout the world, and in fact there was an international response and outcry to the Sharpeville massacre, an international response that was swift and unanimous, with many countries around the world condemning the atrocities and the murders that occurred on that day. And on April the 1st, the United Nations Security Council passed a resolution just a few days after the events of Sharpeville, passed a resolution condemning the killings and calling for the South African government to abandon its policy of apartheid. A month later, the UN General Assembly then declared that apartheid was a violation of the UN Charter, and thus recognized this day some years later and declared it the International Day for the Elimination of Racial Discrimination. So we don't celebrate it in isolation, or we don't honor it rather in isolation, but we honor it with the world population, remembering the history, the very brutal and painful history that the vast majority of South Africans lived under. But it is a public holiday, and we do recognize that it is a public holiday, and you prefer to take things nice and slow on days such as this, and that's exactly what we endeavor to do today. So we're going to reflect a little bit on Human Rights Day. We're also going to reflect on the politics of memory. Who holds stake on such a day? If you're watching the news channels across the board, then you obviously know that there's an undertone of contention also when it comes to who holds claim for this day. And we'll indulge that conversation a little bit. Stages, pages, screens, and more is coming up. We the People, an exhibition at Chinese Gallery, very fitting for where we find ourselves 30 years into democracy. On the other side of 2 o'clock, given hour for the Earth. Earth Hour is upon us, and we're going to catch up with the folks at WWF South Africa around that. And somewhere in between all of that, we're going to jazz it up with some music offerings, just to gently remind you that, public holidays, reset, relax, unwind, and take things nice and easy. 086 000 2032 is the number that you can call us on, or 0614104107. And of course, we are live streaming, so if you happen to be on hand with your social media handles, you can find us on at SAFM Radio across all the respective platforms.
Fly better to your next holiday. Book your flights with Emirates to a holiday in Dubai, London, Istanbul, or Paris. Look forward to delicious regionally inspired cuisine, enjoy free-flowing premium drinks, and relax to your favorite movies on the way. Because it's not just about the destination, it's how you get there. This year, fly Emirates. Fly better.
East African guest nation Tanzania and 2021 runners-up want to convert their silver medal to gold. But the Angolan outfit says they won't go down in their own region. This is the COSAFA Beach Soccer Championship 2023. Experience the sand contest between Tanzania and Angola at the South Beach Arena in Durban, this Sunday, 17 March 2024 at 10:30 a.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
We are in conversation now with Professor Situlego Matebesi, who's the Associate Professor and Head of Department of Sociology at the University of Free State, as we reflect back on this Human Rights Day. Good afternoon to you, Prof. How are you doing today?
Hi, good afternoon, Bridget, and I'm doing quite well on this glorious day, but let me also extend just my regards to all the viewers and listeners.
We thank you so much for taking the time to be in conversation with us today as we commemorate Human Rights Day, 3 decades into our democratic journey. It's an apt time for us as a nation, I guess, to reflect back on the past 3 decades and maybe to even have an assessment of how far we come and how far we still have to go, particularly when it concerns issues around human rights.
As a country, I strongly believe that we've made significant strides, significant progress in terms of, if you look at our institutions, politically wise, but also from our non-governmental civil society organizations that have been established since 1994 to try and consolidate and advance human rights. I strongly believe, but also our policy regimen. I think we've made significant progress with that. But as it's always the case in South Africa, the issue is the implementation or reaching the intended goals of those particular policies. That is where I strongly believe that there's still a lot that needs to be done, but also the responsibility of civil society individuals in responding to this call to try and protect and advance human rights.
Yeah, and we are definitely going to indulge that conversation because you wrote a piece, in fact, that examines precisely that and also sort of calls us to action and calls us to realize that we, the citizens, also hold significant responsibility to prevent the escalation of discrimination and racial tensions. And I think sometimes, and those are, of course, your words, and I think sometimes we, the citizens, forget how pivotal we are in engaging with human rights.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're now on the eve of an election. And I mean, all our elections in South Africa have been called very significant, very fiercely contested elections. But fact of the matter is we've already seen some political leaders making pronouncements, which I strongly believe that it's actually fueling political violence. And it's sad to see sometimes how citizens buy into that. But there's a lesson to be learned because we glorify those that are in positions of power. They act like demigods, and that's where the problem comes on. The same applies to human rights. We can't forever expect the government to lead in terms of advancing and protecting our human rights. We do have the power, and I strongly believe that we do have that. But the problem with that is along the racial line, sometimes, Bridget, you will be called out if you reach out to your white colleagues and to say, but it seems as if you are too sympathetic to them. And it's the same on the other side. But at the end of the day, it's up to the individuals to decide, yes, we don't call people to be passive recipients of the wrongs that is happening there. But it is also up to us now at our schools, public institutions, to try and find one another, those who have seen the light, to bridge that gap. But we've seen numerous times how people who are trying to do that, to bridge that racial divide, are being called names to say you want to be a busboy or being labeled. And that is very unfortunate.
Absolutely. And as you bridge us into the next part of our conversation as we speak about the leadership in this country. Just this morning, in commemoration of such an important day, we couldn't but avoid seeing the tensions between the ruling party and a whole host of other opposition political leaders, around the vicinity of Sharpeville, and a lot of leaders calling for an inclusion into honoring a day like this, saying that a day like this doesn't necessarily belong to one particular party. Who gets the right to honor a day that is supposed to be a day that reflects the history of the collective?
Well, I think you just gave a what I would say a typical example of how far we have come to try and advance our self-interest. And this is for me a typical example of that, where one organization wants to almost like claim a birthright to celebrate days like Sharpeville and many other days that advances and consolidates our democracy. I don't think that any political party can do that, but we also have to do that with respect to say, but who will be there first? Let there be a program. But we all know what value such days and such sides had, and hence the contestation towards that. And the question that you're posing does not only relate to these kind of days. There's even, simple things like, when things are happening with us, the ordinary rank and file people, where other parties want to claim, depending on what political mileage they can get out of that. But I strongly believe that days such as Sharpeville should not be used for narrow political ends, but actually to allow everybody to make pronouncements on how we can actually advance and protect our human rights. Because as I've indicated, there is still tension between many races, even amongst ourselves, in terms of ethnicity and all that. There's still a huge gap there. And it's very unfortunate when we have a glorious opportunity to, promote human rights, we're actually fighting one another.
Absolutely. 086 000 2032 if you are sitting in conversation with myself and Prof. Setulego, and you want to share your opinion on the politics of memory and who gets to honor a day like this, a day that has been, for all intents and purposes, isolated as a day of collective memory, a day of collective inclusion, and yet the events that play out on the ground reflect a different story. 086 000 2032, 061 410 4107 is our WhatsApp line if you'd like to share your thoughts of it. And Prof, as we touch on these issues, also the sensitivities, you've kind of brought us into consciousness of the sensitivities, particularly at a time like this, to be playing politics of memory could be a dangerous thing, not just for our present self as South Africans, but also how we move as a collective and redefine our futures.
Yes, most definitely. I mean, if you talk about politics of the memory, it's quite a traumatic experience. We should remember, I've also seen, I came to my hometown in the Southern Free State, 130 km away from Bloemfontein to the south. And you could see how people are just going on. It's a normal day. And this is what these kind of holidays, commemorative days have become. People just take it as a normal day. And I think we have actually forgotten that we have achieved this democracy on the basis of some people having lost their life, and their families are still around. And there's a lot of questions that will be asked. To what extent are we showing respect to to these people? And I strongly believe that, because remember, history is going to judge us. What has we done as individuals as organizations to try and protect what we currently have. And what are we teaching future generations? And that's why I strongly believe that the way we respond to these days like this will unfortunately also tell, will be a lesson. And then, the future generations will take over, and they will also show this complete disregard for what I would call a very important day in the history of South Africa and beyond. Because remember what happened in South Africa, many other countries, not only on the African continent, had lessons to learn because they viewed at South Africa and how we responded. And I think it's very commendable that the government of the day actually decided to declare this day an official holiday. I think that for me it's also very commendable. But then how do we take this forward? And I think that's where the problem is.
Mm-hmm. And how do we take it forward, Prof? What ways can the collective agency be fostered in order to really preserve and I guess promote the ethos of human rights and themes around diversity and inclusion and everything that falls within that particular context?
What is very encouraging is that I had a privilege of looking at the basic education curriculum. And it's very encouraging that even at that level, at our primary schools, it seems as if learners are now being taught about South African history, unlike in the past where everything was about maybe the National Party and the history of, another race. And that is very encouraging. Even yesterday, my son was talking about Human Rights Day, and I was quite surprised when you've got kids around 12 years embracing days like this. So that is a starting point. But I think also in our families, we need to inculcate a culture where we as parents start to speak about our kids, about what happened in the past. But let's not put on eyelids on them and say, this is the sad history of South Africa, but look at the possibilities. And I think that's where our collective agency will come in. Because once you step out of your private comfort zone, your household, you need to respect people in public spaces. And unfortunately, there are still families that I strongly believe are teaching their kids that, yes, we are divided, we are different. But that difference does not mean that you should enforce your own will on others. And I think that's where we should start, in our families, public institutions, as I've said, in schools. But at the end of the day, individuals should respect life, because at the rate at which people are being murdered in South Africa, the question is, can we still talk about a democratic dispensation when we've got situations like that where people are being murdered when they differ with others? We should not allow that. And this has nothing to do with race. It is also respect for human rights, tolerance towards other people of other ethnic groups and other cultures.
Absolutely. And I think when you speak about inculcating a culture within the household of speaking about the past, that also speaks to keeping the stories, keeping the history archived within ourselves as a people, and almost safeguarding the question I asked earlier, to say who gets to be remembered and how do they get to be remembered, or who gets to stake a claim. Because if we speak the history and we archive the history amongst ourselves, even in our households, it's very difficult for certain names to be edited out or certain events to be rewritten in favor of one particular person.
Yeah, a very difficult situation, and perhaps a question to respond to. But fact of the matter is, we will all forever, even within a certain family, we will all look at things in a different way, and we should allow that difference. Here we don't say the entire South Africa should now come up and say, but our hero in terms of human rights, it's person X or Y. But fact of the matter is we all know what is right. There's universal principles, freedom of association, freedom of speech and all that. And if we can respect that, and that people will have different views about all these elements, principles of human rights, and we should allow that. But at the end of the day, where our collective agency comes in, it's when we all are aware that an individual or a party leader, a school principal, or even in any public space, this particular individual now is on the brink of, causing huge human rights injustices. And I think then one can voice out. But what I'm trying to share with this opinion piece is that in as much as we differ, and as much there are questions as to whose views actually and whose perspectives matters, we should know that we can always go back to our constitution, which can almost be like a Bible, which can guide us in that way.
We've got a observation here, Prof, from Jeff in Ventersdorp, who says, good afternoon to Bridget and the Prof. My observation is that this day has lost its meaning. After 3 decades, we still experience deaths and inequality day in and day out. The very same government fails to address these killings and inequality, and this results in people taking it for granted. I regard it as a criminal rights day, and that is a sentiment from Jeff. And that's a very disheartening sentiment, because it's the exact opposite of what this day is supposed to remind us of.
Yeah, well, it's actually very sad because, as I've also indicated, you can't have a situation like that in a country which I strongly believe that we have all the means, and irrespective of which party you belong to. We know in South Africa what is wrong and what is right. But if you look at what is currently happening, it seems as if we have given criminals an opportunity to do as they please. And when people are living in fear, that for me, it's a huge human rights injustice. When people don't have access to basic service at the rate at which we are going, that's a huge human rights injustice. And the question is, yes, there's been a lot of talks about how to support municipalities, how to support government. And that's why we say, and when we say collective agency, we don't mean people should go into the streets and go and protest and destroy whatever they have. That simply means that we now need to start taking a stance to say we are not going to harbor and protect criminals in our neighborhood, because this is what is happening. These people sometimes are known, and we cannot tolerate a school where we know that there's a lot of wrongs when the parents don't stand up and address that particular issues. Crime spiraling out. Why is the community not standing out and go and address the police, station commander, things like that? Because it seems as if South Africans have taken a back step, and that's why we are where we are as a country.
Prof. Setulego Matabesi, thank you so much for the time this afternoon. Let's release you here so you can go off and enjoy relaxing and reflecting on this very important day. That was Prof. Setulego Matabesi, who's the Associate Professor and Head of Department of Social.
Namibia and Zambia will share the court, but no outfit agrees to lose the match. They both understand that jubilance comes from victory. This is the 2025 Regional Netball Qualifiers Africa. The road to the Netball World Youth Cup Gibraltar 2025. Witness the clash of Southern African neighbors at the Rembrandt Hall, University of Pretoria. Namibia faces Zambia this Friday, 22 March at 12 midday. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
It has been over 20 years since the Truth and Reconciliation Commission issued its final report, recommending over 300 cases to be investigated or prosecuted. Truth Be Told tells the story of the TRC by looking at the poignant cases of the Pila Portia Ndwandwe story, the Beki Mlanjeni story, the Ntombi Kubeka story, the Topsy Madaka story, in which the truth has not been told and no one has been held accountable for their gruesome killings during apartheid. Channel your best South African documentary this March on Truth Be Told, Mondays at 9 p.m. only on
Let us celebrate this Human Rights Day with dignity and the utmost respect to our Constitution, which protects our Bill of Rights. SAFM, leading the conversation.
It has been over 20 years since the Truth and Reconciliation Commission issued its final report, recommending over 300 cases to be investigated or prosecuted. Truth Be Told tells the story of the TRC by looking at the poignant cases of the Pila Portia Ndwandwe story, the Beki Mlanjeni story, the Ntombi Kubeka story, the Topsy Madaka story, in which the truth has not been told and no one has been held accountable for their gruesome killings during apartheid. Channel your best South African documentary this March on Truth Be Told, Mondays at 9 p.m. only on
Arts, culture, and robust conversations with Bridget Masinga.
I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. I wish I could break all the chains holding me. I wish I could say all the things that I should say. Say them loud, say them clear for the whole round world to hear. I wish I could share all the love that's in my heart. Remove all the bars that keep us apart. I wish you could know what it means to be me. Then you'd see and agree that every man should be free. I wish I could give all I'm longing to give. I wish I could live like I'm longing to live. I wish I could do all the things that I can do, though I'm way overdue. I'd be starting anew. Well, I wish I could be like a bird in the sky. How sweet it would be if by my heart I could fly. I'd soar to the sun and look down at the sea. Then I'd sing, 'cause I know, yeah. And I'd sing, 'cause I know, yeah. Then I'd sing, 'cause I know how it feels. I know how it feels to be free. Yeah, yeah, I know how it feels. Yes, I know how it feels. How it feels to be free. Lord, Lord, Lord.
That was Nina Simone coming through. Glad you are enjoying the song, Jeff. Lovely, lovely. We love it when we play music that you enjoy. We thought, I said at the beginning that we're going to try to be on that jazzy, vibey, soulful tip, and no one does it better than the original herself, Miss Nina Simone. I wish I knew how it would feel to be free. Have you seen, by the way, there's a Nina Simone documentary. The title of it just escapes me. But it's wonderful, Jeff. Perhaps you should get your hands on it. All right, let's take a quick break. We come back. We get into a conversation around stages, pages, screens, and more.
Get to Dis-Chem Pharmacies for great offers for the whole family. Save 40 Rand on the Lint Gold Bunny 200 gram. Now only 119 Rand 95. Buy a Sanic shower gel, 500 ml and roll-on 50 ml for just 90 Rand and save 26 Rand 90. And enjoy 10% off Dental Mate mouthwash 1 litre, now just 62 Rand 96 each. Valid until 7 April at Dis-Chem Pharmacies. Better health starts here.
Starter Francois enjoys every moment of the top spot of the top 14, and they're not willing to settle for anything less. However, Lyon are fighting to get out of the bottom 4. This is the great contest of the French Rugby League. Catch the nail-biting clash between Stade Francois and Lyon this Saturday, 23 March at 6 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
All right, let's get straight into stages, pages, screens, and more. By the way, that documentary is called About What Happened, Miss Simone. If you want to check out that documentary around Nina Simone. Tsegofatso Sioka is joining me now, and she is the curator of the exhibition We the People. Good afternoon to you. How are you doing?
Hi, Bridget. I'm doing well, and you?
I'm fantastic. Thank you, Tsegofatso. All right, let's get straight into it. We the People. This, you say, is a provocation for audiences. Explain to us, firstly, I guess, the title, because this particular title is quite loaded and lends itself to a very specific conversation.
The title is not We the People, but rather We the Purple.
Oh, We the Purple,
So
apologies.
Yes, we changed the people to purple. And we borrowed the term, from the Purple Rain protest of 1989.
Yes.
So in 1989 in South Africa, there was a mass protest in Cape Town on the 2nd of September in 1989, where they were going to be protesting racialized and segregated parliamentary elections. And what happened then was that the police came in with water cannons that were loaded with purple dye, and they sprayed it onto everyone that was protesting on that day in order for them to be able to be noted later on, and they would be arrested because they would have a purple dye on them.
Yeah.
So we borrowed from that story as a story of defiance, and what resulted on that day was that one of the protesters actually moved the cannon and sprayed some of the buildings, including the building of the National Party, as well as some of the cops and people that were there, which thus made that whole exercise obsolete.
Yeah.
So we borrowed from it, looking at Pretoria and the jacaranda trees that are falling all over the Pretoria streets. And with that, we were trying to immobilize or mobilize Pretoria audiences by partnering with different art institutions in Pretoria. The initial idea came from Javid UP, who went and found all the other curators and cultural workers in different spaces, like the Ditong Museum of National History, as well as UP Museums and Pretoria Art Museum.
And and funny enough, Tegofatso, is that the titling and the cheekiness to borrow from the civil rights disobedience movement actually has done what I think perhaps you intended for it to do, to draw the audience's mind to that particular moment in time in a very cheeky way, because my mind automatically went to "We the People."
Yes.
So it's a win-win all around. Let's talk a little bit about the exhibition, because you've also, like you said, it's a collaborative exhibition with a few institutions, and you've invited some artists who really have a very distinct voice in the archiving of South African stories and South African histories.
Some of the works that are included, most of them are from the permanent collection of the UNISA Art Collection. And there was a specific artwork that we sought out from the artist in Kensani Rishamfu, which he makes his own wool and creates these most elaborate sculptures. And the title of the sculpture is called To the Promised Land. So within, as you mentioned, within the type of artists that are included, there's a lot of history embedded into the kind of art that they make, as it is a reflection on South Africa and the historical story of South Africa. We've got artists like Mary Sebande, we've got artists like Tracy Rose, artists like Ruth Mutau, and emerging and new artists like Talia Ramikwalan, as well as in Kensani that I mentioned, and Stephanie Conradi, and many other artists. Also, we have some protest artists as well, like works by Durant Sihlali, and we also have Michael Mutle. He has a wonderful painting that he titled Marabastad. So there is different representations of that freedom that we are talking about within the celebration of the 30 years of democracy in South Africa. And all these different iterations bring towards the viewer varied notions of freedom, varied notions of democracy, varied notions of defiance, and also looking into the future of South Africa.
Yeah. So I appreciate the time with you today. Just quickly, how long is the exhibition running until?
The exhibition is running until the 31st of May, 2024. So there is time, there is still time for visitors to come and engage with the works that we have. We will be having a walkabout as well as a panel discussion. And so there will be also public engagements with the exhibition as well.
Lovely. That was a curator, Tegofatso Sioka, who is, of course, the curator behind the exhibition We the Purple, taking its theme and, of course, its lead from the Purple Rain protest of 1989. It's just gone 10 to 2 o'clock. Nalibali is coming through. That will run us till the top of the hour.
Hello friends and welcome to Nalibali. Do you have a younger sibling? How was it like when your parents introduced them to you? Well, having a younger sibling doesn't mean your parents don't love you anymore or they love you any less. You also have to love each other and care for one another as siblings. Today's story is called Thandiwe Than Loved, written by Phumeza Ngobozana. But before we listen to today's story, let's all get up and dance. Thandiwe was 11 years old. She had an older brother, Buyambo, and a younger sister, Zizinwe. They lived with their mama and Aunt Vuvu. Mama was a nurse and worked long hours at the hospital. And Vuvu helped around the house and also looked after them while Mama was at work. Tandiwe was close to Aunt Vuvu, but she believed that her brother and sister did not like her much. When Tandiwe was younger, she often played board games with her brother, and they always walked home from school together. But everything changed when Zizinwe was born.
Oh, what a cute baby.
Their neighbor said, and everyone who visited agreed. They made a fuss over Zizinwe. Mama, Buyambo, and Aunt Vuvu all loved Zizinwe. Tandiwe loved Zizinwe too, but she did not understand why people now treated her as if she was invisible. Buyambo now walked home from school without her, and they never played board games together anymore. As soon as Buyambo got home from school, he looked for Zizinwe.
Hey Zizinwe, come, let's paint a picture.
He'd say to Zizinwe. At other times, he read to Zizinwe and told her stories, but they never included Tandiwe. Tandiwe also saw that Mama was always tired and grumpy when she came back from work, so she didn't want to bother her. And Aunt Vuvu was always busy and didn't like playing. Zizinwe was now 7 years old, but she was still referred to as the baby.
Why does everyone still call her a baby? When I was 7, I was told to be responsible and look after Zizinwe.
Tandiwe grumbled. Tandiwe did not understand any of it. Her name meant the one who is loved, but she felt like she was Tandiwe the unloved. She was lonely at home.
Not Mama, nor Aunt Vuvu have noticed how unhappy I am.
Tandiwe sighed. One day, Mama called Tandiwe.
Tandiwe, could you please take this parcel to Aunt Makazi for me?
Mama asked. Aunt Makazi was Mama's younger sister.
Yes, with pleasure, Mama.
Tandiwe answered. Aunt Makazi lived in the same area, but it was safer to take a taxi to get there. Tandiwe was used to taking a taxi alone, but she had visited Aunt Makazi and her cousin Cebisa many times. But when she arrived at Aunt Makazi's house, her aunt wasn't home. Luckily, Cebisa was home. Tandiwe said,
I could leave the parcel with you, Cebisa, but I'd rather wait for your Mama to get home.
That's fine, Tandiwe. We can play some games while we wait.
Said Cebisa. First, they played hide and seek, and then the game of 3 teens. When Aunt Makazi got home later that afternoon, she was happy to see Tandiwe and gave her a big hug.
Tandiwe, would you like to have a sleepover with your cousin? It is way too late for you to go home on your own. My cell phone is broken, but I'll write a note that you can give your mama tomorrow. I'm sure she'll understand.
Aunt Makazi said. Tandiwe smiled happily. Cebisa was excited too. The girls knew that Aunt Makazi was more fun than many other adults. She always joined them when they played board games. She was the champion of Scrabble. That evening, they all played Monopoly together until it was time for bed. The next morning, Tandiwe woke up and rubbed her eyes.
I know I'm not home. So why can I hear Mama's voice?
Tandiwe looked at her watch. It was 5:25 in the morning. She slowly got out of bed and put on the gown that Cebisa had given her. When she walked into the lounge, she saw her mom and Aunt Makazi drinking rooibos tea together. While she stood there quietly, she noticed that Mama's eyes were red, as if she had been crying. When Mama saw Tandiwe, she jumped up and opened her arms. Mama gave Tandiwe a big, tight hug that almost took her breath away. Mama was sobbing. Tandiwe was very surprised.
Mama, why are you crying?
Tandiwe asked. Eventually, Mama answered, "We were all so worried about you. We thought something terrible had happened to you. My precious baby. I took the first taxi this morning to come and look for you." At that moment, Thandiwe realized something she should have known all along, that her family really cared about her.
I am loved.
She whispered as she smiled at Mama, then gave her another big hug that almost took Mama's breath away. And so we come to the end of another Nali Bali story time. Today's story was called Thandiwe the Unloved, written by Pumeza Ngobozana. Did you know that reading and telling stories to children at home can help them do better at school? If you want free stories to read to your children or for your children to enjoy on their own, visit Nali Bali website www.nalibali.org or Mobi site www.nalibali.mobi. You will find stories in 11 South African languages, as well as tips for reading and sharing stories with your children to grow their potential. Also look out for the bilingual Nali Bali Reading for Enjoyment supplements with great children's stories and activities available in newspapers. Nali Bali, it starts with a story.
Independent and impartial. This is SAFM News.
ANC accused of not recognising Sharpeville Day and concern over political spats in KZN. Good afternoon. The leader of the African Congress for Transformation, Ace Magashule, has accused the ANC of failing to recognise Sharpeville Day. He was speaking at a wreath-laying ceremony at the Sharpeville Memorial site outside Johannesburg. The former ANC Secretary-General joined AZAPO and the PAC in commemorating Human Rights Day and the 64th anniversary of the killing of 69 people in the Sharpeville massacre.
The ruling party does not want to recognize this day. They don't want to recognize PAC and the giant of Africa, Robert Sobukwe. You can see what they do on the 21st of March. When their president comes in, they fix the roads.
President Cyril Ramaphosa paid tribute to all those who supported South Africa's liberation. He delivered the keynote address at the National Commemoration of Human Rights Day in Sharpeville. The event includes the commemoration of the 1960 Sharpeville massacre, when apartheid police shot and killed protesters who were marching peacefully against discriminatory pass laws. Earlier, Ramaphosa joined the families of the victims of the massacre in a wreath-laying ceremony.
This year we celebrate 30 years of freedom. And as we celebrate this milestone, we will reflect on the journey that we have taken towards the full realization of the fundamental freedoms contained in our Bill of Rights. Before this Bill of Rights, which is in our Constitution, the majority of us did not have any rights whatsoever. And these rights that we now have are rights that we must cherish, are rights that we must protect, and are rights that we must always extend.
Kimberley-based Temaneng Running Club, which has an annual race named after struggle stalwart Phakamile Mabija, has taken part in a 21-kilometre race from Kimberley into Galeshewe Township to mark Human Rights Day. Mabija died in police custody in 1977. The half marathon is arranged annually to mark the struggle heroes' contribution to the liberation struggle. The club's runners say they enjoyed honouring the icon.
We are doing it to honour our icon, which is Phakamile Mabija, who was an activist and fighting for our right. So we link it to Human Rights Days because we feel it's a South African right to exercise and practice his own right.
It's really exciting and is one way of celebrating our human rights in style. I'm sure you've seen that the hashtag of our race is your right to run. So we are just merely exercising our rights by running and just enjoying ourselves.
Meanwhile, a representative of the family of the late activist, Penyo Mabija, says they're honoured that their loved one has not been forgotten.
These events also, or such marathons where it puts the name of Phakamile Mabija in people's ears and eyes to hear about him and to know where he started. Also, it's all the beginnings to make sure that at some point we are able to put the information forward.
The KwaZulu-Natal House of Provisional, Traditional and Khoisan leaders says His Majesty King Misizulu Kazweletini is concerned about public spats between some political party leaders in the province. The AmaZulu monarch's representative in the House, Prince Simphiwe Zulu, expressed concern after meeting members of the House as well as the Royal House. This follows an incident in which the ANC's provincial chairperson in KZN, Sibonisa Duma, prevented the AmaZulu traditional Prime Minister Thulisizwe Buthelezi from speaking. Prince Simphiwe explains.
This makes us unhappy. It creates instability in the nation. The monarch is the person of peace. He is concerned about these public spats among political party leaders. He even mentioned it at the event where the incident occurred, that we are all his subjects. He loves us. So therefore, the king and the entire royal family is concerned about all this. We hope after the planned meetings, both parties will put this behind them.
The top story, the leader of the African Congress for Transformation, Ace Magashule, has accused the ANC of failing to recognise Sharpeville Day. That's SAFM News. I'm Greg Goos.
Namibia and Zambia will share the court, but no outfit agrees to lose the match. They both understand that jubilance comes from victory. This is the 2025 Regional Netball Qualifiers Africa. The road to the Netball World Youth Cup Gibraltar 2025. Witness the clash of Southern African neighbors at the Rembrandt Hall, University of Pretoria. Namibia faces Zambia this Friday, 22 March at 12 midday. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
SACE wishes all teachers a happy 2024 Human Rights Month and calls upon a stop to violence against our teachers. Teacher rights are human rights. Together we can create a brighter future for learners through safeguarding the rights of teachers. Hashtag Hands Off Our Teachers 2024 campaign. Proudly brought to you by SACE, the South African Council for Educators.
The Full Circle with Bridget Masinga, Monday to Friday, 1 to 3 p.m.
The very right to be human is denied every day to hundreds of millions of people as a result of poverty and the unavailability of basic necessities such as food, jobs, water and shelter, education, healthcare, and a healthy environment. As I sit in Kunu, my village, and grow as ancient as its hills, I will continue to entertain the hope that there has emerged a cadre of leaders in my own country and region, on my continent, and in the world, which will not allow that any should be denied their freedom, as we were, that any should be turned into refugees, as we were, that any should be condemned to go hungry, as we were, that any should be stripped of their human dignity, as we were.
I don't know how my mother walked her troubles down. I don't know how my father stood his ground. I don't know how my people survived slavery. I do remember, that's why I believe. I don't know how the rivers overflow the bends. I don't know how the snow falls and covers the ground. I don't know how the hurricane swept through the land every now and then. Standing here, the rainstorm, I believe. Hey, hater, my lady, hater, hater, my maid. Hater, my lady, hater, hater, maid. Hater, my lady, hater, hater, maid. Hater, my lady, hater, hater, I don't know how the angels woke me up this morning. I don't know how the blood still runs through my veins. I don't know how I rate to run another day. Standing here, the rainstorm, I believe. Oh, hater, my lady, hater, hater, my maid. Oh, hater, my lady, hater, hater, maid. Oh, my lady, hater, hater, my lady, hater, hater, my God, he called me in the morning dew. The power of the universe, it knows my name, and it gave me the song to sing. Then send me away. So I raise my voice for justice. I believe. Yeah.
We always always try to respond to the moment, the moment that we find ourselves in during any one particular day, Kingsley. Kingsley just sent us a message saying the music on today's lineup is a top draw, from the iconic Nina Simone to our very own breathtakingly talented Brenda Mtambo, Siyabonga. We remember Sharp Phil, March 21, 1960, and those who gave their lives for our freedom. Yes, we endeavor at all times, Kingsley, to respond to the moment of the day, or the moment in history, and of course, just on regular basis, the day of the week, so on any other day, we go according to the tempo and the mood of the week. But today being, such a day of great significance for us as South Africans, it is a Human Rights Day. And so we thought that we'd curate a playlist that is directly responsive to our collective stories. Brenda Mtambo coming through with I Remember is the name of the song. It's just gone 2:15 on the Full Circle with myself, Bridget Masinga. And we're going to shift gears a little bit now, and we're going to cast our attention to matters of the earth. And we're catching up with the Executive Manager of Strategic Communications at WWF South Africa, Pedzi Gozo, who joins me now. Earth Hour is upon us, and WWF South Africa is endeavoring to breathe new life into Earth Hour. And of course, instead of asking us to switch off, they are asking South Africans to join the Earth Hour movement and pledge 60 minutes of activity in support and celebration of our planet. How are you doing, Pedzi? Are you good today?
I'm good. Thanks, Bridget. It's great to join you.
Thing you so much for taking the time. Let's, I guess, firstly, let's start by just going down the history of WWF South Africa. Some of us grew up at a particular time. I remember when the panda sort of first made its prominence into my life as a young schoolgoer, and started seeing the acronym of WWF, and the conversations around it were ignited. Recap for us, what was the initial genesis of the WWF organization movement?
Yes, so WWF is over 50 years old. We turned 50 about 4 years ago, so we're 54, somewhere like that. And we've been, we're a global organization, represented in South Africa, but represented over 52 countries worldwide. And our mission is really to make sure that the earth is protected. So we work for a living planet, for all ecosystems. That means animals, everything, the climate, the environment. We work in water, we work in sustainable agriculture, and we work in wildlife. So I think a lot of people think that we're a wildlife organization, but we're much bigger and broader than that. And we work on all facets of the environment.
And I must say, I think I was some people for a while there in thinking that the focus was strictly on wildlife. And of course, WWF has had quite the impact in conversations around, sort of animal and environmental sustainability throughout the years.
For sure. So we work with government on issues of policy, making sure that environmental issues are considered in policies, across the spheres. We work with business to change business activities, business actions, and we work with the public, to form citizen movements, which is what we're talking about today. Earth Hour is a grassroots citizen movement. It's the biggest environmental movement on the planet. And so that's what we will be celebrating on Saturday. And it's great that we're talking about this on Human Rights Day, because the right to a clean environment is a basic human right. Very appropriate conversation.
And when this movement initially, began, or when we initially sort of caught our attention, Earth Hour, like I alluded in the intro, it really was about switching off our lights for an hour, but it's since is evolving into a more proactive focus for us as citizens, not just about, passively switching off your lights for an hour and then going about the rest of your day?
Exactly. I mean, the switch off is obviously not very appropriate for South Africa, but interestingly enough, the global community have also found that the switch off isn't appropriate for everyone, not just South Africans. So they've expanded the thinking around Earth Hour. So there are certain countries that still do the switch off. It's an easy action. People are used to it. It's gained a lot of traction. But in South Africa, we've moved away from that. And we're moving to almost an hour of action. So almost like the Mandela Day, 67 minutes. We're asking people at any time during the lead up to Earth Hour on Saturday to pledge an hour doing something, anything that they love in celebration of the Earth. And that just expands access to it. So a lot more people can do it. And it just makes it a lot more fun, to get people to do things that really resonate with them. Instead of kind of boxing them into the switch off, which, like I say, is no longer even appropriate or relevant in South Africa.
Yeah. What were the objectives, or what are the objectives for Earth Hour?
So our objective is to get people to think about nature and to recognize that nature is the resource that sustains us in everything. Nature provides food.
Pedzi? We're just reconnecting to Pedzi via, of course, our Skype and WhatsApp line. If you are live streaming, then you have a visual of our guests. So as we reconnect, just to recap that we're having a conversation around, of course, the upcoming Earth Hour, which is happening on the 23rd of March. Pedzi is back on the line. Yes, we're talking about the objectives for Earth Hour.
Yes, so I think our objective is to raise awareness for the environment. So it's an easy barrier to entry for people who are not familiar with environmental issues. It expands our footprint in terms of audiences by having an easier barrier to entry. And I think that getting people to just acknowledge and realize the importance of nature and realize that nature is a link to everything that's important to us, whether it's clean water, food, energy, all of these basic requirements that we need for life all come from nature. And I think often people don't see that connection. And I think Earth Hour is an opportunity for WWF and those who work in our sector to show people that, by celebrating nature, by understanding the importance to nature and spending a little bit of time doing actions that are in service of nature, we are actually helping ourselves, in a very direct way. And I think that sometimes that connection is lost in our day-to-day lives, especially in an issues-rich country, where we have things like poverty and unemployment, and we have some serious issues in South Africa. And I think sometimes nature and the environment is seen in the margins, and I think Earth Hour allows us to bring it to the center, which is where it belongs, because everything is dependent on nature.
Yeah. Let's take a quick break here and then we'll come back and we'll find out about Earth Hour 2024.
Emotions, tension, and drama are on another level as Namibia faces Kenya. Both outfits are looking for the joy of victory. This is the 2025 Regional Netball Qualifiers Africa. African excellence will book the tickets to the Netball World Youth Cup Gibraltar 2025. Witness the incredible action at the Rembrandt Hall, University of Pretoria. Namibia versus Kenya, this Thursday, 21 March at 4 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport. For the love of the game.
Introducing a collection of Audi Black and Urban Special Edition models crafted for the bold and curated for the progressive. From the sporty Audi S3 and elegant A4 to the distinctive Q2 and Q3, each vehicle has been created to be an extension of your identity. Style, design, comfort, and technology is yours to own with a guaranteed future value and a competitive monthly installment through Audi Financial Services. Visit audi.co.za to discover more.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
We are in conversation with Pedzi Guzo, who is the Executive Manager of Strategic Communications at WWF South Africa. And of course, Earth Hour is upon us on the 23rd of March, and it's happening at 8:30 p.m. Supporters in over 190 countries and territories will create the biggest hour for Earth. And we talk about, for instance, switching off Pedzi not longer being relevant for South Africa, but the excitement around Earth Hour is something that always kind of palpitates every single year. There's something about being part of a global voice in unison that just, I think, even reinvigorates your sense of agency as an individual and as a member of the global citizenry.
Yeah, I think that there's something very special about knowing that you're part of a bigger picture. And I think that is the beauty of Earth Hour. And I think that that's why it has captured hearts and minds of people from across the globe. So like you've said, even though the switch off is no longer relevant, I think that the spirit of Earth Hour is still very much alive, which is why it's a campaign that we've held on to, over the years because of that. I think the essence of being part of something, being part of a movement that is global, is something quite special, and people have definitely resonated with it. And I think that is at the heart of the success of Earth Hour. So yeah. Yes, I think it's a great thing to be part of. It's lots of fun.
Absolutely. And you've got some exciting plans for South Africans, specifically for the 2024 edition. Enlighten us. What's going on?
So we are asking people to go online and pledge an hour for Earth. So that's the first thing that they can do, is decide on an action for nature, whether it's going out for a walk, whether it's doing yoga on the beach, whether it's deciding to recycle, whether it's preparing and eating a planet-based meal. Do your action, come onto our website, tell us what you've done, log your hour, and that's how you become part of the movement. But if you don't have anything else to do, we are inviting people to join us. We're partnering with SANBI, the South African National Biodiversity Institute, and we're having a screening of an animation film called WALL-E. It's got a great, powerful animation message. It's at the Walter Sisulu Botanical Garden on the evening of the 23rd, and in Cape Town at Kirstenbosch, also on the evening of the 23rd. It's a night under the stars, watching a movie. There's going to be picnics, there's going to be food trucks, there's going to be music, there's going to be entertainment. So a wonderful night out for the whole family. It's 100 Rand at web tickets for adults, 50 Rand for children. So very affordable, very accessible, and a really fabulous evening out under the stars, celebrating nature and watching a movie that has a very powerful message for the environment, but is fun for the whole family. So those are our plans for Saturday.
We just got a message, Pedzi, from someone one of our listeners wants to know, do you still do awareness and, I guess, activations in and around schools in the country? And this was Terence in Kakamas.
Yes, we do. Every September, we do a little campaign called Wear It Wild, where we invite students and teachers and schools to dress up as animals and again, pledge for the environment. And that's a really fun activity. I mean, we help children to put on makeup and pretend to be the animal of their choice. And we have a kind of fundraising activations at, I think, a few thousand schools around South Africa. But really, really, if kids and school children want to join us in the garden on Saturday, they're more than welcome. I know that Sanbi has arranged for school trips to Walter Sisulu during the course of the month of March, and I think that the school group is coming through on Saturday as well. So yeah, I think that most of our activities are very, very school and child friendly, because we need to get them in young.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just to reconfirm, your online platform is still www.wwf.org.za.
That's right. Yes.
Lovely stuff. Pedzi Gudzo, thank you so much for the time this afternoon. Much appreciated as we talk all things at WWF, in particular Earth Hour that is coming up on the 23rd of March at 8:30 p.m. So you can be part of a global movement once again this year, joining over 190 countries and territories in the biggest Earth Hour. And this is just to re-emphasize the role that we also play in preserving our environments as well as our animals. And as you heard, we've switched it up a little bit. WWF has switched it up a little bit for South Africa because, I mean, you know, Eskom makes sure that we have enough Earth Hours going on any regular day. And this year, WWF South Africa are asking you to rather pledge 60 minutes of activity in support and celebration of our planet. And as you heard Pedza say, it could be a whole host of things. You know, you could pledge to that day have a more environmental meal. I guess be vegetarian for an hour. Why not? You could pledge to go out and maybe enjoy a sunset with your family, or walk on the beach, or clean up your local beach and your local park. Get your community involved, get your estate involved, come out of the confines of your own gate, and maybe, you know, clean up the paving areas along your neighborhood. Oh, that could be fun. As I say that idea, I'm like, oh, that could be fun. An opportunity for you to meet other neighbors, considering that we also all live in gated communities. Imagine that. Imagine a whole neighborhood, a little suburban area, just getting together for Earth Hour and cleaning up the neighborhood. What a beautiful way to bond, as well as just imparting lovely skills upon our kids. So consider it, and there's a whole host of resources and tools and ideas that are available for you on www.wwf.org.za. Let's take a quick break here. It's just gone 2:30, and then we'll come back, get into song, and then we've got some musical guests in studio.
You are listening to The Full Circle.
Nijarabi ma feganyalo nyala nterini ngabe disa nekanu. I want to know.
So I'm out that in a police. Clear one baby. So I'm out that in a police. So go in a police. In Jaja Tinselala. So I'm out that in a police. Clear one baby. So go. Jana ale mason segima.
Let us celebrate this Human Rights Day with dignity and the utmost respect to our Constitution, which protects our Bill of Rights. SAFM, leading the conversation. Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
my team was enjoying the song so much that they wanted to play the entire extended version. That time we have 4 members of the band in studio, and we've got less than 15 minutes of conversation. So that was sounds by Sangqa, the Experiment Band. They're going to tell us what Sangqa translates to, and we've got 4 out of the 6 band members that are in studio. I'm going to try and remember everybody's name. Sisbuyisiwe Njoko is on the vocals there, and then we've got Lerato Site, who's the lead guitar, backup vocals. Then we've got Tebogo Mkhize, who's the bass guitar and backup vocals. And then we've got Abuti Simpiwe Wate. I didn't ask you, Abuti Guti, what's your instruments? Percussions. Okay, you on the percussions. You on the stuff that makes the things to happen. All right. Hey. Those are the things. Okay, let's talk about Sangqa Experiment Band. Ladies first. Sisbui, give us a context of the name.
How you say it? You just need a humongous big smile on your face, then you can execute the very well.
Okay.
Depending on how. There we go.
Okay.
Sangqa simply means that the sun is out. We discovered that and Khoisan means out. So it's the Sangqa experiment. The sun is out. But there's a double meaning.
Okay.
We are very high. We were very highly influenced by 2 amazing artists called Sun Ra from the US of A. That's where the sun comes at. And then we have a second artist, Wala Kona Ekaya Undiko Xaba, a jazz, avant-garde jazz musician. He's late now. That's where we get our Ka. So it is Sangqa with the Sun Ra and Diko Xaba fused together. Those are our musical ancestors.
Yes. And I was going to ask as a follow-up, does that then sort of allude to the ancestry and the heritage that you draw from when you make music?
Right, it does, because
why vele mic yakho bayifake so it's kanje now yazi ukuthi mic funeka ibe njani much better. Yes.
You know that we draw a lot from Njongoba Shilo Sisi, Obabundiko and them, and so that alone kind of created a connection, and it opened up a portal for us. So with that being said, we also discover that our music can also have an ancestral lineage. So, and it has more history to it. So the more we attach ourselves to our history and our deep-rooted, lineage, the more ancestral it becomes, and the more we are able to connect spiritually with our music. And when we put it out there to the audience, so I guess that's how people feel. People will come to us and just tell us, "Yo, you've connected me to a certain spirit." So I guess that's how we are able to define it as it being ancestral, because we draw from our ancestors too. So they are the ones who use us as vessels in the modern time where we are able to translate this message.
Oh, very interesting, very deep, very very depth, very interesting, very deep. And let's talk about how everybody comes together. How does everybody come together up with Tebogo?
Sihlangane ku jam session yabo banokwenza jam session. Mina benginokuzela ngizidlalela isiginci from dala ngezwe bathi bayenza jam session egole samitha lapho next week bathi ngizeri ezaleni kwaba into enjalo.
So from each jam session bengazani before that?
Besazana ngaphandle ko jam session kuma poetry session masihlangene training isilala sonke yazi as musicians asekasi.
Yes.
But isamithana ku jam session.
Okay. Manje uPutebogo mayethi from even training. Does that mean some of the group members were buskers on the train?
We've
played
busking. We've literally played everywhere. We've played in the train. We've played in the beach. We've played just randomly. Yeah, we've played just. We've played just about everywhere.
Just arrive and set up.
And we've been doing this for 10 years.
Really?
I think there's something he needs to remind everybody that we've been around for quite some time, and we've traveled the whole country. Like, from Garden Route to Gauteng to the inland of KZN. So it's just been people who are there just touching people in so many ways. Outside of just only performing music, we're also teachers of the art. So that's what we do as well. So we also impart than just only being artists on stage.
Yeah. Lovely stuff. I mean, I don't know. I put some people, you know, Sondela Gomai. You see, this is why you're not the lead vocalist. Percussion people don't understand these things. You know, you must hug the mic. Much better. Okay. And yours doesn't have a muffler, so it's yeah, okay. But okay, let's talk about the experience of being part of this group for you. How's it been being a member of San?
It's actually truly amazing and wonderful. Yeah. The experience is quite informative also. Going to different places, meeting different people, learning different stuff from what we've grown from, what we actually know. So it's quite a good impact individually and also to us as a group. Spiritually, even seeing places like Garden Road, where you will find a place which is mostly surrounded by nature, of which you get connected, and then you learn another side. There's a lot of stars, of which in this side we are not familiar with such things. So you learn a lot of things and you grow emotionally, spiritually, physically also.
I got you.
Yeah, it's quite a wonderful impact it has done.
I'm looking at Simpiwe and I'm thinking, I can tell he's a happy chappy. And I can also tell that Simpiwe is the son of Jah. and he probably creates from a different frequency whenever he creates. He's always floating on high.
Right. You're on the same vibration.
I read between the lines. I'm very good at reading between the lines. And when it comes to the creating of music, I mean, there's 6 of you in total, right?
5 of us now. There's 5 of us.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. It's called the band life. You know, there's always an evolution every
People
time.
come in and out.
Yes. But what we've made us more solid is that we don't replace people. When we used to be 8, we had a pianist, a saxophonist, another person used to play the bass. But when people leave, we're like, you can't really replace a person. A person is a soul. A person is their own spirit, and they put that into it. So every time a person leaves, we close the gap, and eventually it's become the 5 of us. There's one who's missing. He's called Ukarulo. He literally interprets the music as it plays. So he's what you call a dancer, but he does the music in a movement form. Okay. So when you experience Sankla Experiment, you not just only get to hear it, but you also get to feel. So literally all your senses get to be connected. Your sense of sight, your touch, everything, even your taste, because you start getting goosebumps and connecting with the sound. And I liked the interview that you heard earlier, that we're speaking about the earth, and as a Sankla Experiment, we put Mother Nature in center of everything. And I like what is happening right now. I feel like the world is receiving the good vibration that it needs to heal back. And us as a collective, as Sankla Experiment, we bring the music that heals people. And we are there tapping into that frequency of bringing love, of bringing peace back to the world. Mother Nature is crying. That's why you see all the extremes of all floodings. It could be floodings. It could be fire that we experienced this past December in Knysna and the other parts of the Western Capes. What we bring as Sankla Experiment, it's healing back to Abantu and back to the nature as well.
Yeah. Let me see. Looking at the time. Okay, let's take a quick break here, and then we'll come back on the other side of this and continue our conversation with the group.
The boxing ring will be dominated by hard punches this Friday night. 2-time South African welterweight champion Tulan Evolution Mbenge will confront Leandro Ariel Fonseca from Argentina in the international bout. The Mzansi Africa versus Argentina battle will continue in the main bout, the World Boxing Council WBC Silver Cruiserweight title fight between Tabiso the Rock Nkunu and Yamil Alberto Peralta Jara. This is the Mvelo Boxing Promotions Tournament. Catch the action on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4, live this Friday 22 March at 7 p.m. Then on SABC 2 at 10:30 p.m. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCsport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
For the love of the game.
Buying a new TV?
You'll need a paid-up TV license. Need to check your balance? No sweat at all. You just SMS your ID or TV license account number to 44210 for fast, effective balance inquiries. Secure your legal viewing fast and simple. Standard SMS rates will be charged. Terms and conditions apply. TV licenses. Pay yours. Make a difference.
Stade Francois enjoys every moment of the top spot of the top 14, and they're not willing to settle for anything less. However, Lyon are fighting to get out of the bottom four. This is the great contest of the French Rugby League. Catch the nail-biting clash between Stade Francois and Lyon this Saturday, 23 March at 6 p.m. Live on SABC Sport on DTT Channel 4. Also available on SABC Plus and SABCSport.com. Proudly brought to you by SABC Sport.
Bridget Masinga on SAFM.
It is the full circle with myself, Bridget Masinga, on SAFM as we wrap up the show. We've got Sankla, the experimental band, joining me in studio today. 4 out of 5 members are with me. And let's talk quickly about the process of making music for you guys. Because, you know, it's an experiment band, right. But that doesn't mean that there's no structure. Maybe there isn't any structure.
Well, in the beginning, at first, there's no structure.
Yeah.
Like it comes in the form of an idea, like a jam. Like he'll be playing his percussions and he's exercising at that time. He's not playing anything in particular. Then I might join in with something because I'm hearing a rhythm. He might join in with his guitar because he's hearing something that we are doing. And then eventually she sings. She will just hum some notes. But if it's a very solid idea, we'll record it with our phone so that we come back to it maybe the following day or following rehearsal. So that's pretty much it. We don't really structure. The structure comes after.
Yeah.
You know, we get the kind of the creative blueprint, you know, it's a spiritual thing. So we feed off one another. And then from there, once we captured it with our phone, then maybe there's something that can be structured after that. Then we can separate the sounds. Okay, it can start from this point and from that point. Yeah. But we don't do that in the beginning. No, we don't discuss how the song should sound. It's just, we all just gel in and just jam. Most of our songs are created like that. By the way. So yeah, it's just a momentum thing. We just feed off one another, you know, with our energies. Yeah.
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 But Tebogo, interesting being in a group with all of these young cats.
Yeah, it's nice to be in a group in these young cats because me, I'm 42 years, you know.
With the same age, why you?
Yeah. But it's nice because when the music now, umnandi ngokuthi bavulekile bathanda banama-ideas agrand and sinokubiza abanye abantu bangaphandle beze bazosicriticize kulo music wethu ukuthi sikwazi ukuqina nathi as musicians basifakela ama-creative ideas amasha now.
Oh, I like that. Sort of inviting other people to also just take it all in because it speaks about collaboration.
Right.
True.
Yeah.
True. We have an awesome Ubaba that you call Bab Peace. Bab Peace is like literally our guardian angel. Every time we're supposed to go, it could be an international trip or it could be a local trip. What's funny is that we don't even call him. He always comes like a day before. We don't even tell him what's going on. He comes like a day before. We've had a relationship with him, I think, since 2017 or 2018. And he's always been one of our biggest criticizer of music.
Yeah.
He is a firefighter by profession, but he plays an incredible bass and incredible saxophone. So he comes through and really helps us shift and change and really make our music ube nesigqi nesintu lesisifuneka layo.
Sure.
I love it. Okay, guys, we have to make way for Aldrin. Well, Aldrin's not in today, but beyond the headline, what song are we playing now? What song are we playing out with?
That will be really, really lovely. But before we leave, I would like to say, people, you can get us on our socials. On Instagram, we call the Sankla. So it's the SUN. XA, Sankla Experiment, then you find us. And also, we have an upcoming gig on the 30th of this March on Saturday. It's happening here in town in 7 Lovedale at Marshalltown. It's called Weed Lovers. But
what's the venue?
It's called Weed Lovers.
Oh, Weed Lovers.
Yeah.
Oh, say it with all your chest.
It's on 7 Lovedale. Listen, that spot is such a beautiful spot. If you are a person who've got an interest of hearing South African sound from jazz to avant-garde, go to that spot. You get a lot of South African beautiful jewels coming from there, especially musically. But don't miss the 30th. You can get your ticket online. It's only 100 Rand. On the 30th, you get us. It's just 150 on the door. Trust me, it's going to be a 2-set. Awesome set. You don't want to miss it.
I mean, I believe you. And the reason why I said they must say it with their chest, because when I said they vibrate on a different level, they say don't stereotype and don't stereocast people. But I'm just like, you know, these four that are in front of me, I can tell Uti, they are the sons of Jah for real. Haile Selassie runs supreme there. Guys, thank you so much for coming through. That is it from myself and my team. We hope that you are taking the day to reflect on its importance and significance, and we will see you tomorrow. If you have an extended long weekend, we are here and we're bringing with us Kuli Chana is going to be in studio. Have a beautiful one. Inshallah, we get to do it again.
Independent and impartial. This is SAFM News.
Ramaphosa marks 30 years of freedom and concern over political spats in KZN. Good afternoon to you. Although the World Bank has declared South Africa as the most unequal society in the world, with the poor being the hardest hit, President Cyril Ramaphosa says South Africans have a lot to celebrate after 30 years of freedom and democracy. He was speaking at the commemoration of Human Rights Day in Sharpeville, outside Johannesburg.
As we celebrate 30 years of freedom, we do have much to celebrate. Many of our people in South Africa have been lifted out of poverty. Today, 8 out of every 10 households now have proper housing. 9 out of every 10 homes now have electricity. That was not the case under apartheid. Far fewer women are dying in childbirth, and far fewer children are dying in infancy. This has been made possible because we have focused on correcting the injustices of the past.
The leader of the African Congress for Transformation, Ace Magashule, has accused the ANC of failing to recognize Sharpeville Day. He was speaking at a wreath-laying ceremony at the Sharpeville Memorial Site. The former ANC Secretary General joined AZAPO and the PAC in commemorating Human Rights Day and the 64th anniversary of the killing of 69 people in the Sharpeville massacre.
The ruling party does not want to recognize this day. They don't want to recognize PAC and the giant of Africa, Robert Sobukwe. You can see what they do on the 21st of March. When their president comes in, they fix the roads.
In election news, the EFF's chairperson in the Eastern Cape, Zilindile, says the youth are ready to take part in the province's economy, but dwindling opportunities are a limiting factor. He was speaking at the party's provincial election manifesto launch at the Buffalo City Stadium in East London.
The young people of the province are standing up and occupying the rightful places. That is why all these people are here. They want jobs, they want land, they want to end load shedding. Young people now are agitated. Doctors are unemployed.